remember to click like, subscribe, the bell notification, and whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us. What's up everyone, Kaiju no Kami here from the Toku and Animation News Network. And it's that time of year again, time for the best of movies list. I am going to talk about my top 10 favorite movies of 2024. Granted, I have not seen every movie in 2024 that I did want to see, so obviously I can't add it to the list if I didn't see it. That includes things like Sonic 3 and Venom, Kraven. I really don't think those were going to make the list. Borderlands probably wasn't going to make the list, but don't expect those to be included here. So what did get on the list? Well, I have my list right over here, and we're going to start with number 10, which is Transformers 1. I had no intention of seeing this movie originally. I didn't want to see it. I was pretty much done with Transformers, and it got great reviews. Silver Quill wanted to see it, so I was like, okay, let's go check it out, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done for a Transformers movie. Had great bits of action, comedy, and drama all mixed together. It wasn't perfect, but it was still a good time. I'm just saddened that it is not going to get a sequel from what it sounds like. That's a bummer. Number 9 is Abigail. This year was a good year for horror, and Abigail was one of the greatest entries to come out this year. Although that is saying a lot because there were a lot of options for my horror picks. But I have to say, Abigail, in some ways it was kind of like Ready or Not, but with vampires. But I still enjoyed the movie nonetheless. I loved all the twists and turns it took. So I was like, you know what? That's on the list for sure. Number 8 is another horror film that I was kind of intrigued by. I liked it. I kind of felt like the ending was a bit, but it does have the best soundtrack of the year, and that is Abigail. Wow, Abigail again? No, that is The Substance. Completely botched that one now, didn't I? But hey, as always, you know the drill. But yes, The Substance. It was such a good movie with incredible twists and turns that that just kept you at the edge of your seat the entire time. Actually, come to think of it, I have every movie on this list I have done a quickie review of. So if you want to know why I like that movie in complete details, go check out the quickie reviews. And that brings me to number 7, which is a sequel. It's the best superhero movie of the year, that's for sure. But you know what? As much as I enjoyed it, I have not had a desire to go out and rewatch it. And that is Deadpool and Wolverine. I love the movie. I love that we finally got Wolverine in his proper costume. We got Wolverine with a mask. There were a lot of great jokes. It's just a fun time. The multiverse aspect is really good. I love how it pays tribute to all the Fox properties, while also mocking them for the problems they have. But it's just not a movie that I'm like, I need to go out and buy that right now. And that's something I need to start taking into account when I do these lists, is when I pick my favorites of the year, do I want to pick movies that I truly enjoyed the most? Or rather, I enjoyed the movies, but did I enjoy it enough that I want to buy it and rewatch it over? That's where I gotta decide on my lists. Which brings me to number 6, Maxine. I loved Maxine. It's like a neo-noir mixed with horror. It's the sequel to X and Pearl, and it's a completely different movie while being set in the same universe. I really liked it, but there were just little things later on I thought about that I was like, well, how much did I truly love it? I loved it, but did I truly love it enough? Nevertheless, if you have seen X and Pearl, definitely check out Maxine. And that brings us to number 5, which is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This one's a bit this one's a bit rough because it's the start of a new trilogy. I am super excited to see where it goes. The previous trilogy was amazing. I truly love this movie, but depending on how the rest of the trilogy does go could depend on how much my enjoyment of this movie wanes or increases. Because I will say Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I loved it the first time I saw it. It actually got me to watch all the other Planet of the Apes movies. And then the more I watched Rise, I was kind of like, but then when Dawn came out, my enjoyment for Rise went up. And then when War came out, my enjoyment for Rise went poof! Because having a great trilogy to seal the whole story really helps make it worth it. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next installments to the Apes trilogy. I really am curious to see where things are going to go. And that brings me to number 4, which is Smile 2. I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I initially thought I did. I mean, Naomi Scott was incredible in the film, but the more I thought about it, there were little things I was like, oh, I really did like that. I like that too. So overall, Smile 2 really impressed me. I thought it was way better than the first one. Now, it doesn't mean things won't change in subsequent viewings, but it is a movie I am looking forward to seeing again. And then we have number 3, which was tough because for a while my number 3 movie was kind of fighting with my number 2 movie for the number 1 spot. I kept going back and forth like, is this my favorite or is this my favorite? Or is this my favorite? Is Alien Romulus my favorite or is it something else? And I ended up deciding that, you know what? I like that other movie better. So yes, Alien Romulus is number 3. But you know what? I loved Alien Romulus. I think it is the best Alien movie since Aliens. And granted, while that might not be saying much, I don't hate Alien 3 as much as others. But I also think Alien 3 was kind of ugh. And I kind of did like Alien vs. Predator. But then Requiem was like ugh. And then Prometheus I kind of liked until Covenant came out. And again, like that thing with the trilogy, like I said with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. A trilogy can make or break a movie. And Covenant, now granted, no trilogy happened because of Covenant. But when Covenant came out, my love for Prometheus just went because the story will never get finished. And what's the point of even trying now since they killed off the main character off screen? But Alien Romulus was a movie I loved a lot. I thought about a lot. I really need to watch it again. I keep going back and forth if I should buy it right away or watch it on Disney Plus since it's been up there for the last month, and then decide if it's worth buying or not. But as of right now, it is my 3rd favorite movie of the year. So what was the movie that was fighting back and forth with Alien? Well, that was Late Night with the Devil. I don't know what it is, but this movie I have not been able to stop thinking about all year long. I picked up the Australian release for our Blu-ray that came with some really cool stuff, came with the VHS tape, and we watched the movie again in October, and I just loved it as much as I did the first time. And then we went and watched the TV edit version, which was basically just a 70-minute cut of the movie with all the behind-the-scenes footage removed. And I loved that too, except there were some things I'm like, well, that didn't work out well in the TV cut, because that wouldn't make sense to be the TV cut, but whatever. And then, before I get to number 1, some honorable mentions. I want to name drop because they were great movies. I just don't know if they're movies I'm going to go out of my way to rewatch. And that includes Longlegs, Furiosa, The Fall Guy, which was surprisingly enjoyable. We watched it a few weeks ago. I was like, wow, it's a little bit long. Some parts were a little bit slow, but it was actually a good movie. Then Quiet Place Day 1, which was a nice return to the Quiet Place, even though I really feel like it didn't need to. And then another honorable mention, I'm going to give this one an honorable mention because I expected this movie to be complete garbage, and I surprisingly enjoyed it, and that is Lisa Frankenstein. I was expecting complete dog shit from that, and I was like, wow, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that one a lot. It might not be in my top favorites, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it an honorable mention because it surprised me the most. And finally, number 1, what do you think it is? Godzilla -1 minus color. What? Oh yeah, that's technically a 2023 movie. Okay, seriously though. You can probably figure it out by the review I just did of it. If not, it's Nosferatu. Klaatu Barata Niktu. Seriously though, Nosferatu was incredible. I have not been able to stop thinking about that movie since I saw it the other day. In fact, we rewatched the original one the other day, and we have watched the 1979 remake, which I wasn't really a fan of. I will say Dracula in that, he sounded like Benny from The Mummy. I don't know if you've ever seen The Mummy or ever seen this Nosferatu movie, but Dracula sounded like Benny. All I wanted to hear was, "My client thanks you for the use of your tongue and your eyes and your other organs," or "Hey Okano, my casket's on the other side of the river," and some stuff like that. And it was just a hilarious movie. He's doing the Naruto run in a scene. There's a scene where Renfield creepily puts his head on his shoulder, and he's just like, bruh. Like, oh my god. And then there's a little joke I made for on Twitter, Twitter and Facebook. If you need to check those out, it's pretty funny. But Nosferatu was my favorite movie of the year. What were your top favorite movies of 2024? Let me know in the comments. Click like, subscribe, the bell notification. What else YouTube has you clicking on to support me? You can support me on Bluesky and Patreon at tokuaannetwork, Facebook, Instagram, Discord at kaiju no kami, and my website creativitybydesignllc.com. You can buy cool Kaiju no Kami merchandise at creativitybydesignllc.com/shop. There's also a link in the description below. And tell me, what do you think of my picks? Again, I know I already asked that, but what is your favorite movie of the year? What really drove you to that movie being your favorite? Is there a movie on my list that you're like, oh my god, how can you have that on your list? That movie was total crap. Let me know, and until next time, bye.